Hi, my name is Barry Sterling Mitchell. Today is March 22nd, 2023. Wednesday, as a matter of fact. And this is Ben and Barry on football.
What's going on out there, everybody? This is your co-host, Ben Dickerson. We are approaching the NFL draft, and I have come up with my first and probably only mock draft of the season, Ben Dickerson's mock draft 1.0. I think I did three of them last year because I was bored and I was like really into it. And the third one actually came out pretty good, considering the comparisons between what I picked for each team and what each team actually picked. But I'm only going to give it one shot this time. Hopefully, I'll be fairly accurate.
One shot.
One shot.
This is it.
One in the draft next week. When's the draft? I got a couple weeks, right?
Something like that.
Yeah.
That stop most people.
I might give it another one. I might try again. Because, this is the great thing about the draft. Well, some people might consider it a great thing. Some people might consider it not so great. There's still a lot of things that could change. Draft picks could still be swapped. People can trade up. Teams can trade down. I believe there was a trade today with the Jets and somebody where they traded away a second-round pick for a third and a fifth later on or something like that. So because it was a later round than the first round, it didn't affect my mock because I'm only doing the first round. But those things can happen between now and the draft and right on draft day.
Draft is scheduled for Thursday, April 27th through Saturday, April 29th. So we have a full month.
Okay.
So a lot could happen. I know my wife has football talk for me, Benny. She's like, what happened to Zeke? Zeke got let go. She's like, did he want to? I don't think so. But it was news.
Usually when you release, it's not because you want
it. So okay, I'm looking forward to that. And you obviously went a little crazy because you said you're going to do 31, but you told me originally you was going to do 10. Like, I'm going to do 10.
Well, I said 10 in reference to top 10 players I thought coming into this draft, regardless of position. That was a different subject. But when you asked for a mock draft, I can't do the first 10 picks and not the rest. Got to go all in. So we did the whole first round. Pick number 1 through pick number 31.
All right, well, Benny, again, I'm always tasked with the message to whoever's listening and watching. Remember to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that when we put these videos out, which we do mainly once a week, you should expect something to come in on Thursday. We record on Wednesday. But check that out. And also remember that we will be putting out the podcast on Anchor and on Apple Podcasts. And we're on all the different social media for the most part. Well, not all. Let's just say Facebook and Instagram. And that's pretty much it, Benny. I don't mess around with the other ones for right now. So that's a lot of places that you can find Ben and Barry on football, in addition to the website, www.benandbarryonfootball.com. So without further ado, let's have the Ben Dickerson 2023 Mock Draft 1.0.
Okay. Now, before I start, let me make it clear for everyone. I had to take a lot of notes so that I could keep myself straight on each player, each team's needs, who I thought was the best player available at a certain position, or if I thought a team was going to pick for need. What I tried to do was mainly pick for need. I know sometimes teams get to a certain point and there may be a certain point in the draft and they feel like they want to take the best player available. That could happen. But I based mine basically on what I thought the team's greatest need was and the best player available at one of the positions that was one of their greatest needs. So if you see me reading, it's because I am actually reading, because I have a lot of notes and a lot of information. So I want to make sure I get everything right. But the picks are mine. You may see other mock drafts that may have some players in the same positions going to the same teams that I have, but these picks are on mine. I made these decisions, not based on what anybody else did. I may have agreed with someone else, but blah, blah, blah. That's it. Here we go. Number one pick in the draft goes to the Carolina Panthers. They got that pick from the Chicago Bears. And I believe, as everyone else does, that the Carolina Panthers are going to need a quarterback. This was supposed to be a great quarterback draft, and they are going to take the guy that I think is the best quarterback in this year's draft, and that is C.J. Stroud. I've been loving C.J. Stroud since last season, and I introduced myself to him television-wise in Ohio State, watching Ohio State game-wise 2 years ago. But C.J. Stroud, Ohio State, 6'3", 214 pounds. That's prototypical NFL quarterback size. His greatest attribute is his accuracy. He showed his accuracy during the season. You can see it on tape if you go to YouTube. He also showed great accuracy at the combine. Had a really awesome combine, to tell you the truth. He threw 41 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 3,684 yards last season. That's 2022. That's some big-time numbers. 41 touchdowns, only 6 interceptions. Big-time numbers. The number 2 pick in the draft is the Houston Texans, also a team that needs a quarterback. They will take arguably the other best quarterback, probably the consensus best quarterback in this class. That would be Bryce Young. Bryce Young. There's some Bryces in this draft. Bryce Young from Alabama. Not the prototypical size, 5'10", 204 pounds. And I think they're being a little generous with the 204 pounds. I'll go along with the 5'10". He seems to be the consensus number 1 player at this position, but issues with his size might make a difference as far as what people feel about him coming into the NFL. Not a big guy. However, he threw 32 touchdowns, only had 7 interceptions, 3,325 yards last season. He's a big-time playmaker. He's exceptional at processing plays. This is pre-snap and post-snap, okay? Before the snap and during the play while the play is going on. This guy has been called Mahomes-like. I am not saying he's Mahomes-like, nor am I saying he's not, but he has been called Mahomes-like in the way that he processes plays. That's his greatest attribute. He's exceptional at that, and that's what makes him a great quarterback. And I think he'll be successful in the NFL. The number 3 pick is the Arizona Cardinals. They have a lot of needs. Most of their needs are on defense. I think they're going to go for an edge rusher. I believe they will pick Will Anderson Jr. out of Alabama, 6'3", 253 pounds. Not a really big guy, but really good speed for an outside edge rusher. Extremely explosive. He showed tremendous bend at the combine. So when they're running these drills at the combine, especially for edge rushers, they want to see how they can turn a corner, fight off a blocker, and close the pocket. So he was exceptional at that. Last season, he had 14 sacks, great number for a college player, 9 quarterback hits, and 42 hurries. I'm not going to necessarily say I think he's the best guy, but he's one of the best, probably one of 3. I think he best fits the Arizona Cardinals, though. Number 4, Indianapolis Colts. They also need a quarterback. I think they will go with Will Levis. Now, Will Levis was not one of the top quarterbacks, although his name was being mentioned when they started first talking about the draft and the college season was just beginning. He has climbed the ladder to the top 5. Some people think there was talk that he might have even been top 3 by the time the combine was over. I don't know about that. But anyway, Will Levis is out of Kentucky, 6'4", 229 pounds, also pretty prototypical size, very strong arm with a quick and very compact release. He didn't have a lot of 4- and 5-star athletes around him. He did play at Kentucky. They are a D1 team, obviously, but they didn't have the kind of players that an Alabama or Georgia would have. But he still made the best of it. Threw for 19 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 2,416 passing yards. Not stellar numbers when you compare him to Stroud and to Young. But like I said, his supporting cast wasn't so great. I forget what Kentucky's record was, but it wasn't spectacular. However, what he showed in the combine and what he's put on tape as far as arm strength, arm talent, being able to make all the throws and all that, that's what's elevated him so far. So I think he'll go to the Colts. Number 5, Seattle Seahawks. This is a pick they got from Denver, probably in the Russell Wilson trade. But anyway, they also need help on defense. Edge rusher, I think, was a stronger group than interior linemen like D tackles and nose guards. So a lot of these teams that need talent on their front line on defense are going to go for edge rushers. So you're going to hear a lot of edge rusher names. This guy's name is Tyree Wilson. He's out of Texas Tech. Great size here, 6'6", 271. This guy's got a 7'2" wingspan. That's when they measure you from fingertip to fingertip. That's amazing. Not too many people are going to get away from this guy once he gets a bead on him. Great combination of size and strength. He had 8 sacks last season, 10 quarterback hits, 32 hurries. So he gets in the backfield a lot, very disruptive. The Detroit Lions. This is a pick that they got from the LA Rams. They also need help on the D line. Now, D tackle, Jalen Carter. This is a name you've been hearing a lot. He was supposed to be like maybe the 1st or 2nd pick in the draft. He has dropped because he's had some off-field issues. After being touted as possibly the 2nd best player in this draft early on, they were calling him the 2nd best player behind Bryce Young. He has fallen because of those issues that I mentioned. He had the car accident. And I think what's dogging him even more now is, first of all, he got issued an arrest warrant while he was at the combine. So he had to leave. But he did get himself together. He did come back. I'm not exactly sure what his punishment is. I think he got like a year's probation from the car accident thing. However, he had a pro day, and he didn't do real well in his pro day. In fact, he wasn't able to run through all the drills. He did the position drills, but he couldn't do some of the other drills that they do at the combine. And at the end of the day, he was whipped. He was laying on the ground, splayed out, all cramped up. Doctors had to come out and check him. So we don't know what happened there. Now, there has been some talk that this guy doesn't necessarily practice as hard as his coaches would want him to. However, there's no question in games he plays his butt off. So, I don't know if the team's going to hold that against him or not, but he's too talented for Detroit to let him go by their first pick, because they have multiple picks in the first round, I'm pretty sure. So their first pick in the first round, they got to take this guy. He's too talented, and they need too much help on defense. Number 7, the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, the Raiders need a lot of help too. Where do they need help the most? D tackle, because they have 2 really good D ends. They have 2 really good edge rushers. They don't have a lot of strength up the middle on their defensive line. So I think they will go for possibly or probably the best D tackle in the group. His name is Kalijah Cansey. I think you put a picture of him up on our page earlier today. He's from the University of Pittsburgh. He's 6'1", 281 pounds. Extremely hard to block, and he's being compared to Aaron Donald. He ran a 4.67 40 at the combine, which is really fast for somebody that size. So I think the Raiders are going to go after Kalijah Kancey. I think he fits in really well with them, with the really good edge rushers that they already have. Number 8, the Atlanta Falcons. Also, here we go, another edge rusher. Nolan Smith out of Georgia, 6'2", 238, outstanding athlete, had a combine worthy of a wide receiver. This is crazy. This dude, 6'2", 238, ran a 4.39 40. Freaking incredible. That's incredible. Had a 41.5-inch vertical leap and a 10-foot 8-inch broad jump. Now, I know people are like, well, you know, when you play football, when do you have a broad jump? What does that mean? That doesn't mean anything. What it means is this guy's got quads like crazy, okay? And he's super explosive, and he's going to be hard to stop when he's rushing the passer. That's what that means, okay? Great physical abilities, size, explosiveness. Oh, really good, especially against the run. Very strong in run defense. So that's a big deal for Nolan Smith. Where are we here? Number 9, the Chicago Bears. This is the pick they got from Carolina, probably when they flipped up to give Carolina the first pick. Again, a D tackle, Ryan Breesy out of Clemson, 6'5", 298. Tremendous size for a D tackle. That's the kind of size you look for from a D tackle. A dynamic interior pass rusher. Very impressive. 40-yard time at 4.86 in the 40. A guy at 298 running a 4.86. That's pretty doggone good. Okay. And again, D tackles usually known for shoring up the middle, pushing the pocket, and being good in run defense. But when you get one that's actually good at the pass rush, that's a big deal prize for you. Brian Breesy is that guy for the Chicago Bears. Number 10, the Philadelphia Eagles. This is a pick they got from the New Orleans Saints. I think the Eagles know that they need to shore up their defense. I know they brought back Bradbury and they brought back Slay, but those guys are kind of getting up in years and they could use a nice slot corner. So I think they go for a corner in the first pick. And that corner will be Devin Witherspoon. He's out of Illinois. 5'11", 181. Had 3 interceptions last season. 62 balls thrown at him, only 22 receptions. So now when I talk about corners, I'm going to say targets and receptions the same way I would about a receiver. But when I say targets, that's how many times the other team went at him, and then the amount of catches that were made on him. Okay, so I know some of these guys play zone a lot. They don't always play man-to-man. But if it's in your area, you get called for the target if you're corner. So he had 62 targets, 22 receptions. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. He's a stopper. I like that guy. I think he's possibly the number 1 DB in this class, in this draft. Okay? Now we get to number 11, the Tennessee Titans. Obviously, they need help on their offensive line. Their offensive line is crumbling. Ryan Tannehill can attest to that. Offensive tackle, Peter Skoronski is the guy that they're going to go after. He's from Northwestern. I like Skoronski. Good size, 6'4", 313 pounds. Very strong, very explosive in the run game. I'm not exactly sure how good a pass blocker he's going to be, but he's got the size and the strength to get it done. Very explosive at the point of attack, which means that he can probably get his hands up quickly, get into his back pedal quickly, and be a pretty good pass rusher too. But I know he's a real strong run blocker. Number 12, the Houston Texans get the pick again. This is a pick that they got from Cleveland. They need a wide receiver. They just let Brandon Cooks go. They're bringing in a brand new quarterback with their first pick, so obviously they want to give him some weapons. Wide receiver Quentin Johnston out of TCU. If you watched the national championship game, you didn't see the best of Quentin Johnston because Georgia pretty much took it to TCU and they didn't have a chance to really show explosion. But if you watch TCU over the course of the season, you will know that Quentin Johnston is one heck of a really good receiver. He's got real nice size, 6'3", 208 pounds, That's prototypical wide receiver, right? NFL wide receiver. Um, let's see. He didn't run the 40 at the combine, but he did have a 40.5 vertical leap. I don't know why he didn't run the 40. I'm not sure about that, but he did do the vertical leap. 40.5 is really, really good. He had 60 catches for 1,067 yards, and he caught 6 touchdowns. This kid's going to be nice. I think he's going to be a really good wide receiver in the NFL. Number 13, the New York Jets took an offensive tackle. Getting Aaron Rodgers, you got to protect him, right? Their first pick is going to be offensive tackle Paris Johnson out of Ohio State. 6'6", 313 pounds, 36.5-inch arms. You don't see 36-plus-inch arms very much in the NFL. I know people don't keep a lot of stats on that, but if you were able to look those stats up, you will find there are very few guys with that kind of arm length. He only gave up 2 sacks last season, and he's really good in the run game and in pass protection. Paris Johnson, look out for him. I think he's going to the Jets. Number 14 for the New England Patriots. They also need offensive line help. I think they will take offensive tackle Broderick Jones. He's out of Georgia. 6'5", 311 pounds. Another guy that's got really good size, pretty good speed and explosiveness. Ran a 4.97 40. 311 pounds of 4.97. That's nothing to sneeze at, let me tell you. He showed the same explosiveness at the combine that he shows on tape. I watched him. I watched a lot of videos of this guy. He gave up 0 sacks last season. 0 sacks. Number 15, the Green Bay Packers. Wow. They gave up their tight end, Robert Tonyan. I think they go for a tight end. I really do. They have pretty much everything else they need on offense. Their defense isn't that bad off of. They doesn't need some help. But if they can get their tight end position back in place, they like their receivers. They'll probably take another. They could possibly take a receiver here. This is the only one I didn't feel strongly about. I mean, through these first, where are we? Number 15. I wasn't sure about this one. The Packers may take a receiver here, but I think they'll take a tight end. And the reason I think they'll take a tight end is because it's a pretty good tight end class, and this guy's probably the best out of the bunch. His name is Dalton Kincaid, played for Utah, 6'3", 246. I consider him the top tight end in this draft. He had 70 catches for 890 yards and 8 touchdowns. Not bad at all. 70 catches for a tight end, that's pretty good. Utah, I think, is pretty much a passing team. So I don't know what their receivers were like, but this kid was really good. At number 16, we have the Washington Commanders. They need a lot of help also. But I think one of their big needs is going to be on defense. Could be D-line, could be secondary. I'm going to say they're going to go for a corner because there's some good corners coming out in this draft, and they don't want to let this guy get away. Christian Gonzalez out of Oregon. He's 6'1", 197, ran a 4.38 40, had a 41.5 vertical, and 11. Did I say 40.5? Yeah, 41.5-inch vertical, 11-foot 1-inch broad jump. Explosive, athletic, really good-looking kid. Arguably the best corner in the draft, and I would argue between him and the kid I spoke of earlier, Witherspoon, you could argue which one of them is the number 1 corner coming out. But this kid's really good. I don't think the Commanders will let him get by. Number 17, we're halfway through here. Number 17, the Pittsburgh Steelers also need to fix their defense. Also, they need help in the secondary. I say they take a cornerback, and there's no way they cannot take Joey Porter Jr., whose father played for the Pittsburgh Steelers and has a Super Bowl ring with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So they got to take Joey Porter Jr. out of Penn State. 6'2", 193, good size for a corner. ran a 4.46, an impressive 34-inch arms. They measured his arms 34 inches. That's pretty impressive, especially for a corner, which means he's going to be good in press coverage. Hopefully that's what it translates to, but that's what people would expect. Okay. So that's what we're looking for from Joey Porter. Let's see. 30 balls thrown at him last season, only 15 receptions. That's like half of them. Okay. Nice job by Joey Porter. Number 18, Detroit Lions. Obviously, the Detroit Lions need a lot of help on defense. I think they'll try to get a safety here. Brian Branch is one of the top safeties in this year's draft. Excuse me, he's coming out of Alabama, 6 feet tall, 190 pounds. Now, he ran a 4.58 40, which isn't blazing, but, you know, you see a lot of safeties that aren't super fast. Safeties have to be smart. They have to be good tacklers. They're usually covering tight ends if they're playing man-to-man. So he doesn't have to have blazing speed. 4.58 ain't slow. It's just not 4.3, you know. But he can also play the slot corner as well as playing the true safety. So he's pretty versatile. I think he'll do them well. 19, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Obviously need a lot of help. Just got Baker Mayfield to come in and play quarterback for them. I don't know if they're going to let him compete with Kyle Trask for that starting job, but I have a funny feeling if they go out and get Baker Mayfield, they're going to hand him the starting job. But you got to protect him. I think they will take offensive tackle Anton Harrison. Anton Harrison is from Oklahoma, really good size, 6'4", 315 pounds, a superior pass blocker, only gave up 1 sack last season. As a run blocker, I'm not really sure. Oklahoma threw the ball around a lot. We'll have to wait and see about that. Where are we here? Here we go. Number 20. Again, the Seattle Seahawks get the pick. They go to try to fix their defense. They go for a corner. There's a lot of good corners. It's funny when you get to the draft and you find teams that have multiple issues and multiple positions that they have to fill. If there is a strong class at a particular position, the conundrum is, do I pick this guy because that's what we really need? Or do I pick this guy because we need this too, and he's at the top of his class at his position? This is one of those things. I think they're going to go after Deontay Banks. He's a corner out of Maryland. 6 feet tall, 197, good size, blazing speed, 4.35 in the 40, explosive, 42-inch vertical, 11-foot, 4-inch broad jump. This guy's a super athlete. He had 60 balls thrown his way. He only gave up 26 catches, and he did have an interception. So that's Deontay Banks out of Maryland going to Seattle. At number 21, the LA Chargers obviously need help on defense. Joey Bosa's been getting hurt. He was hurt last year. That really hurt them. I think they'll grab another edge guy just in case that happens again. And that edge guy, I believe, will be Will McDonald IV. He's out of Ohio State. I'm sorry, he's out of Iowa State. 6'3", 239 pounds, explosive, great get off, anticipates snaps really well. Had 6 sacks last season, 3 quarterback hits, 16 hurries. And here's something that you don't hear about a lot with these defensive players. He had 3 batted balls. I went back when I saw that and wrote it down. I went back and looked at all the edge rushers, the D tackles I picked to go before him. None of them had any batted balls. I thought that was interesting. It was interesting. That means guys get good penetration. At number 22, the Baltimore Ravens. Obviously, the Baltimore Ravens need receivers. They've been need receivers. I don't know if they're going to fix this Lamar Jackson thing. I hope they do. I'm anticipating that they do. And if they do, he's got to have weapons. This thing is never going to work in Baltimore if they don't get him receiver help. I believe they will take the best receiver in this class. That's Jackson, Smith, and Jigba out of Ohio State. Now, and Jigba was hurt all last season, or most of last season. I think he actually only played in like 3 or 4 games. Had some hamstring problems, and I don't think he wanted to rush himself back because he knew he was going into the draft and he wanted to go in healthy. So his stats I took from the 2021 season. But first of all, he's 6 feet tall, 196 pounds, very smooth route runner, very productive in his college career. And like I said, he was injured 2022, but in 2021, that's where he put up most of his numbers. And they were some of the best numbers in D1 college football. He didn't run the 40. Oh, no, he did run the 40. He ran the 40 today at his pro day. He ran a 4.48. What he did do at the combine showed extreme athleticism and foot quickness. 6.57 in the 3-cone drill. That's seconds. And 3.93 seconds in the short shuttle. So those are quickness drills. He was at the top of his game. I think those were the best numbers at the combine this year. Now, like I said, he did battle hamstring issues. I don't know if he's going to carry that problem into the NFL. He took it easy last season. Hopefully he's back 100%. 2021, 95 catches, 1,595 yards, and 9 touchdowns. This guy's productive. This guy gets himself open and he catches the ball. Okay. Number 23, the Minnesota Vikings. Just got rid of Thielen. Got to keep weapons for Kirk Cousins. I think they go wide receiver also. This guy's pretty good here. Let's try Zay Flowers. I think Zay Flowers goes to the Minnesota Vikings. He's out of Boston College. Little on the small side, 5'9", 182, but he ran a 4.4 240, which is pretty fast. He has 78 catches for 1,077 yards, so he can obviously get open. Scored 12 touchdowns, very productive. Zay Flowers out of Boston College goes to the Minnesota Vikings. Number 24, almost there, gang. Jacksonville Jaguars pick at number 24. They need help on defense. They go for another corner. A lot of good corners in this draft. They're going to get themselves one. I think they're going to take Emmanuel Forbes. He's out of Mississippi State. He's 6'1", 166, which is skinny. I don't want to say he's small. This kid is skinny, but he doesn't play skinny. Plays hard, he hits, he can tackle. And on top of that, which makes you forget how skinny he is, let's see, 4.35 in the 40, 37.5-inch vertical, 10-foot, 11-inch broad jump. So if he can blaze 4.35 40, I don't care how skinny he is. He's probably not going to have to tackle too much. He should be able to cover anybody out there. So I like this kid. I think he'll go to Jacksonville. Had 6 interceptions last season. 31 catches on 58 targets. So he's obviously got good ball skills also. His slight body does not detract from his production. That's the best way I can put it. At number 25, my beloved New York Giants obviously need help on defense. I think they're going to go after corner also. There's a lot of good corners out there. Like I said, here's another one. His name is Cam Smith. Cam Smith is out of South Carolina, 6'1", 180 pounds, 4.4 340, 38-inch vertical. Got good physical skills. Obviously good enough physical skills to translate to a first-round talent. I believe the Giants are going to get themselves a good kid here in Cam Smith out of South Carolina. Had 38 balls thrown his way, only gave up 18 catches and did have an interception last season. Number 26, the Dallas Cowboys. They let Zeke go, Pollard's coming off of what, a broken leg, a ACL or something. It was a pretty serious injury. So guess what? The Dallas Cowboys are not going to play around. They're going to go after the consensus #1 running back in this draft. That's Bijan Robinson out of Texas. 5'11", 215 pounds, 4'4", 640. He carried the ball 257 times last season for 1,575 yards. That's a 6.1 yard per carry average, and he scored 18 touchdowns. He got as many yards on the ground as some of the receivers I've already mentioned. Okay, this kid is a monster, man. And he didn't blow up the combine, but if you look at his tape, you go, combine schmombine, means nothing, all right? When he's got the ball in his hands, he's tremendous. Number 27 will be the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills. What are the Buffalo Bills going to do? I think the Buffalo Bills need help on their offensive line, obviously. I think they're going to go after this kid, Steve Avila, out of TCU. TCU had a real nice run game, and their quarterback did really well, even though he wasn't prototypical size type quarterback, but they blocked really well for him. So Steve Avila is a guy that they will probably look at. I believe, you know what? I was taking notes and I was writing really fast. I didn't put tackle beside him. This guy may be a guard. You don't hear too much about offensive guards going in the first round, specific to that position. Sometimes you hear about a guy who can play tackle or has played tackle and guard in college. Those guys will usually go first. But a straight offensive guard, you don't hear too much about that. He's 6'3", 332 pounds. Evidently, the Bills like their guards, but they do need some interior offensive line help. This guy should take care of that. It's a special need for them. He's probably the best pure offensive guard in this class. And last season in college, he gave up no sacks over his position. At pick number 28, the Cincinnati Bengals. I believe they will go after a tight end also. There's some really good tight ends in this class. I have one going already out of Utah. Here's the other one. Here's tight end Michael Mayer from Notre Dame, 6'4", 249 pounds. Good run blocker, good pass catcher, not real fast. He ran a 4.740, but TJ Hawkinson ran a 4.740 last year too. And TJ Hawkinson's pretty good. So I think this kid is in that TJ Hawkinson mold, size and strength wise. He had 67 catches last year for 909 yards. Ooh, almost 1,000 yards. Is that right? No, I'm sorry, 809 yards. Still nothing to sneeze at. 9 touchdowns. That's at Notre Dame too. Okay, this kid's going to fit in real nice, be a good pro. At number 29, the New Orleans Saints get the pick again. This is a pick they got from the 49ers. They take a D tackle. Maisie Smith, and that may be Mozzie Smith, but I'm going to say it's Maisie Smith. He's out of Michigan. 6'3", 323. Showed great strength on tape and backed it up at the combine. He did 34 reps on the bench. So he bench pressed 225 34 times. That's really high. That's a good number. 225 is not, gigantic bodybuilder weight or anything that. But anybody that can push that up and down 34 times is pretty doggone strong. He had 1 sack last year, 5 quarterback hits, 19 hurries. But of course, he's an interior guy, like I said, D tackle, just what the New Orleans Saints need. At number 30, the Philadelphia Eagles get the pick again. This time they go for an edge rusher. Yeah, defense was a strength for the Eagles, but anybody, and we live in Philadelphia, so we listen to Philadelphia talk radio a lot. They're saying on talk radio that the fans should not fool themselves. The thing with the 70 sacks last year, you're probably not going to see that again. Fletcher Cox is getting up in years. Brandon Graham is getting up in years, although he's coming off a real good season. They let Hargrave go. I thought that was a mistake, but they're going to need some help on their D line. So I think they go after an edge rusher, and I like Miles Murphy for them. Miles Murphy's out of Clemson, good size, 6'5", 258 pounds, only benched at the combine, but he did do 25 reps. That's pretty good. He's a beast on tape, though. When you watch him play, this kid's super strong. He has 6 sacks last year, 7 quarterback hits, and 21 hurries. Not bad. And last but not least, pick number 31, the Kansas City Chiefs. They lost 2 starters on their offensive line. They obviously have to keep Mahomes clean, so they go after an offensive tackle. DeWand Jones is the guy I'm picking for them. He's out of Ohio State. This guy is a monster. 6'8", 374. Sheesh. And moves pretty well for that size. He's not clunky. You know what I mean? He can get around a little bit. So that's it. That's my mock draft 1.0. Maybe if I have some time and if I have any second thoughts or some moves get made, I'll come out with a 2.0 next week. But that's what I got.
Man, that was pretty good, Benny. That was pretty good.
Hard work, bro. Hard work.
That was some work. Now I do want to do just a quick review because I'm sitting there and listening to you, and then I said, "Oh, I should be taking notes." So just give me a summary real quick of those teams and their picks in your top 10.
1 through 10. Okay, Carolina Panthers, quarterback, C.J. Stroud. Number 2, Houston Texans, quarterback, Bryce Young out of Alabama. Number 3, Arizona Cardinals, edge rusher, Will Anderson Jr. Number 4, Indianapolis Colts, quarterback, Will Levis. Number 6, Detroit Lions, D-tackle, Jalen Carter. Number 7, Las Vegas Raiders. Where am I? Lost my place. D-tackle, Kalijah Cansey. He's the Aaron Donald clone. Number 8, Atlanta Falcons, edge rusher, Nolan Smith. Number 9, Chicago Bears, D-tackle, Brian Reese. And number 10, Philadelphia Eagles, cornerback, Devon Witherspoon.
Interesting. And when you first started out, and of course, you took as your number 1, you sent C.J. Stroud to the Panthers, and
yes.
I like C.J. Stroud too. The interesting point is that when I saw C.J. Stroud throw the ball, the movement of the ball itself reminded me of Mahomes. I'm not saying anything else reminded me of Mahomes, but the ball seems to move through the air faster than you would think, but in a much more smooth fashion. And it looked very catchable, but it's getting from point A to point B quick.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things about Mahomes that's, is just one of his powers. Now, the interesting thing then is you said about Bryce Young is his ability to process.
Right.
So the question then is, can Stroud process at the level? Now, accuracy-wise, that number you threw out, 46 touchdowns, 5 interceptions.
Yes, sir.
Holy mackerel, So to hear that Bryce is processing like Mahomes and Stroud is throwing the ball like Mahomes, it's interesting. It's a shame he couldn't put those two guys together. But if Stroud gets the right coaching and the right system and he's processing at any high level, I think that he could be very successful. So I'm going to keep an eye on all of these guys. Thank you. I have your list here. I have some notes on it. I'm going to go back and try to bone up a little bit. So next week and then the coming weeks, as things start to move around, I'll be tracking this along with you a little bit. All right. Okay. Fantastic. Ben Dickerson's mock draft 2023 1.0. Woo! All right, we're going to move back to the Ben and Barry on Facebook page and go through some of the current events and the things that are popping across the NFL. Okay, Benny, back at the Ben and Barry on Facebook page, which you can find us at BNBOF. Just want to remind people that we had a video out last week. Man, you really got to go back and take a look at that video. We really covered a lot of stuff on that video. And let me just mention, you know, I talked a little bit about Madden, and I talked about the teams that even had a pistol or rather a run option in their offense at all, you know. And then during the week, we see this rumor about Minnesota, the Vikings may be interested in Lamar Jackson. And I'm like, is there any coach over there that knows anything about the option in that coach's room? Because I mean, if you don't, you got to have it in there at the very least. I took the lip. Well, I really had some fun this week in a learning environment because I never run any of those options. And as I looked through all of those teams, I realized that the option plays that I like best were right there in the Niner offense. They were right there all along. I just never ran them, you know, because again, I was, you know, messing with Garoppolo, you know, early on. Trey Lance went out. Then we had Purdy. So I actually focused on that and put it, you know, as much into my offense as I could. And it almost makes me a little more empathetic toward Lamar Jackson because I kind of see that I heard them talk this week about quarterbacks who can both run and operate from the pocket. That's kind of where they are right now. They want you to be able to do, well, at least as I'm hearing from some of the talking heads on there, that's what they want you to be able to do. Lamar can operate from the pocket. I don't know if he's ever attempted to show that as a specific strength. And as you said, that, you know, he could use some more receivers that would help him, I'm sure. But I see the ability to run an option now. It's not so much a hand. It's something that you lean on when you can't operate from the pocket, but as an additional skill set in addition to the ability to operate from the pocket.
I agree.
So, you know, I have a much better appreciation having attempted to run it and see, you know, how you can use it. I'm even touching into my RPO list a little bit more. So this is some fun stuff to mess around with. So it's going to be interesting. Again, the contract situation is there, and I have something that we talked about a little further on in the page. So let's move along here. Well, Benny, first thing I want to talk about real quick, Eagles picked up Marcus Mariota on a 1-year, $5 million contract to back up Jalen Hurts. Well, first of all, we know one guy that's going to be in our backup quarterback best job in the world list right there. But it's kind of like what we were saying about about Lamar and the Ravens, where their backups look to have the same body skill capability, athleticism as the starter, or at least something similar. Of course, you know, Lamar being Lamar, everything's, you know, a little higher, you know, but, you know, that athletic can run the option type quarterback. So with Marcus Mariota, if they have to bring him in, unlike when they had, you know, Minshew, they can pretty much run the same stuff.
Exactly.
So I think that's pretty good. That's pretty good there. And
I would, although Mariota has not been impressive over his last couple of seasons as a starter, he does have starter experience and he does have a skill set that's similar to Jalen Hurts. So in that respect, I would say it's a good pickup.
You're not going to be afraid to run him in the option. You know what I mean? If you put him in the pistol and decide to run, you're not going to be afraid to do it. You know that he has he can do that to a certain degree. That
Right.
mobility is there. And so that I thought that was pretty interesting. Moving right along here. Well, Ben, Dan Snyder is reportedly cleared out of the team facility. The sale was imminent. They didn't sell it yet, did they? I think some more buyers came out of the woodwork for that. But I just remember how much time we spent calling them the Washington team that needs to change their name. There's a hashtag on that team that needs to change their name. The first letters on that, and then you find out, that this guy was a little more dastardly than what we even thought, because that name came in, to the team before he was even there, I think. But in any event, he wasn't giving it up. He wasn't gonna, let those indigenous people push him around. But eventually that did change, and now it looks like ownership is going to change. So
yeah, well, the name of the team was the least of his worries. This guy's got a lot of dirt on his resume. And he, in fact, went public and said to the other NFL owners, I got dirt on y'all too. So, you know what I mean? He's finally given it up. I'm glad he's doing that. I'm sure the other owners are pretty glad too. So I think he wants to get out of Dodge before any more scandals come up. There were people in his organization that were involved in the emails that John Gruden put out. So that's just the tip of the iceberg there. Bye-bye, Dan Snyder. We ain't gonna miss you.
Dan Snyder. All right. Congrats to Coach Rod Woodson and the Vegas Vipers for finally getting off the snide with their first win.
Poor Rod.
I remember when we first started talking about the XFL, you were pretty tough on some of the former players as head coaches. They're like, they're going to get.
Yeah, Hines Ward, they put Hines Ward on it. The Brahmas are on like every week. They're just not that good. But it's good to see these guys getting an opportunity. I have no problem with that.
The number one team in the league, Benny, is super adept at running the option.
Is that
the quarterback has more rushing yards than passing yards?
The Houston team?
No, DC.
Okay, who's their coach? Because the Houston Roughnecks, that's the team I like.
You like the Houston Roughnecks?
Yes.
Why is that?
Because they're undefeated, I think.
Well, I don't think anybody's undefeated at this particular point. I think there's the team that has a 5-1 is
their coach is Wade Phillips, though.
DC.
Wade Phillips is like 99 years old.
Yeah. And what you said about the guys getting an opportunity, I think that's absolutely correct in terms of, really glad to see them. So they can say, I've got, head coaching experience on my resume, if they decide to go and try to do anything in the NFL,
I got it here. DC Defenders are 5-0 and Houston Roughnecks are 4-1. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Those are obviously the two best teams in the league. Arlington Renegades are 3-2, and the St. Louis Battlehawks are 3-2, and then everybody else is either 3-2 or worse. So there's a clear-cut two best teams in this league.
Your coach for the Houston Roughnecks?
Yeah.
Wade Phillips. Okay, so you got the old guy. And
I was trying to figure out who's the coach of the Defenders.
The DC Defenders. Reggie Barlow.
I know him. He's a former player.
Yeah, absolutely. Reggie Barlow. But But yeah, these guys, from what I understand, they're running the option big time, which I think is hilarious. They got the same scenarios going on there that the NFL has, you know. So that's and that statement that the guy made about the quarterbacks, you know, that can both run and work from the pocket well. That's going to be very interesting. It's one of the things I like about CJ Stroud. I think he can run a little bit. I think you'll be afraid to have Bryce Young run too much, because if they get their hands on that guy.
Yeah, I think Bryce Young, you know, along with the Mahomes comparisons for Bryce Young, is the fact that he can scoot around a little bit and keep himself safe. He's a pretty good runner when he decides to run, but I wouldn't consider him a true dual threat quarterback in the vein of, you know, Lamar or Justin Fields. He has escapability, however.
Well, the question is, does he have NFL level escapability? And that's what we're going to see at some point. I had a question about this. Brandon Cooks has tied the record for the most traded player in NFL history.
Wow. Wow.
And, you know, I thought about people like Corey, and I'm thinking Corey's already been to like 5 teams, but he wasn't traded.
That's nothing.
Yeah, but
he wasn't always traded. He's been released and picked up.
Right. That's different.
Yeah, this guy's been traded.
He's been actually traded.
Now, think about this. To be the most traded guy in the NFL, that's not good, but it ain't bad. In other words, teams are willing to trade for him, are willing to accept him in trades, but teams are willing to let him go. And he's trade. You got to be worth something to be traded that much. And if you look at this guy's resume, he's got a bunch of 1,000-yard seasons.
I've always liked Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, he ain't chopped liver, and he's fast as a mug.
That's key, and you can't teach that.
Right.
Did you see who he was tied with?
No, who's he tied with?
Your cousin, Eric.
As the most traded player?
Yep.
No.
Eric Dickerson.
No.
That's who they have it listed as.
Colts, yep. Rams, Raiders.
He only needs one more.
Oh, really? 4 is the record?
I think so.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's like 6 or 7.
No, 4 is the record.
Oh, well, there's a bunch of guys knocking on that door. That ain't that bad.
We're talking about traded, not all the other stuff,
right.
Not released and picked up, and and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah. So congratulations to Brandon. It'll be interesting to see how he makes out there. So especially with the Cowboys, he's going to be doing what you dislike the most, Ben, taking the top.
Oh no. Brandon Cooks is a quality wide receiver that runs all the routes. Brandon Cooks goes over the middle. Brandon Cooks will tiptoe on the sideline for you. He'll run the comeback. Brandon Cooks is not Deshaun Jackson. No. Brandon Cooks runs all the routes.
Well, Benny, Andy Dalton, again, will be a new member of our special when we do Best Jobs in the NFL, backup quarterbacks. It looks like the way they're talking about him coming in and being able to help whoever's going to be the next quarterback there. Mm. He was valuable enough for them to give him a 5-year, $10 million contract. Now, of course, it's designed so he's really not going to be there for 5 years, but he'll get most of that $10 million. And he's actually kind of jacked about about doing it. He's there, he's talked about coming there to share his knowledge, and that's going to be real interesting. And when you look back, I remember when we looked at the Jets and we looked at Flacco, and I think at the time Flacco, in terms of any backup quarterbacks, had the greatest career average of career earnings of any of the backup quarterbacks in 2022. I think he was somewhere in $140 million range.
Right.
Andy
Because he won
Dalton,
a Super Bowl.
right? Well, Andy Dalton career earnings is at 105 million plus. So yeah, he can sit back and play that backup and kind of compete a little bit, keep the young whippersnapper on his toes and everything for another $10 million.
Yeah, what team is he on now?
I believe he's going to go to the Panthers.
The Panthers are going to pay him this money?
So he would be player coaching CJ Stroud based on your
Right. So he's got himself in a pretty good position. Here's a guy who actually started some games last season, started a bunch of games the season before that, was a solid starter for the Cincinnati Bengals, even though they weren't very good then. Okay. Knows the NFL, obviously has a good football mind. So you're willing to pay him this kind of money to be, like you said, a player coach, a mentor, knows how to run a quarterback room, can actually step in and play if necessary. He's at that right age and that right part of bit of experience where he fits right into this mold. Yeah, that's and he should be paid accordingly.
Yeah, but this is raising the average pay of the backup quarterbacks on our list. We'll have to see. I think that that average pay is going to start to get a little hiked there with some
I don't know if anybody else
backup quarterback, positions, a little more money, so that's not bad. I'm all for it. Backup quarterback, best job in the NFL.
Well, remember, there's a difference between backup quarterbacks who were former starters and backup quarterbacks who are backup quarterbacks from the jump that have some starting experience. There's a line between those two type of guys.
I agree with you, but I believe that the trend is for those recent starters to start to understand that backup quarterback money is nice. So I'm looking for this to continue beyond Andy Dalton. We'll see how this all goes. Beyond that. All right, let's move on to the next thing. Eric Bieniemy. Have you had a chance to listen to him talk about what he wants to do and all of that?
Yeah, he's pretty fired up.
He's pretty he's like projecting head coach, even though he's OC at this point. He's definitely tough but fair. I mean,
well,
how many
I think he's looking at it that way. Let's face it. Ron Rivera ain't going to be around but so much longer. He's actually in a good position. He was in the same position in Kansas City, but Andy Reid is like, dude, they're going to have to drag me out of here kicking and screaming, and I'm still winning. So it ain't going to happen for you here. So now he's someplace where it could happen. He should be excited. I'm happy for him.
Well, hopefully the new ownership will also be supportive of him.
Right.
That'll be coming in, and that's going to be very interesting. But yeah, I had a chance. If you have a chance to go back and check out this article, like I said, he's talking like a head coach here, which we're all rooting for him there. Now, we talked about Andy Dalton being that backup quarterback guy. Cam Newton's on the scene, Benny. He said there's not 32 guys better than me in the NFL. So and NFL memes had to come out with the 32 guys right now that are all on the different teams. But yeah, he's out there doing his thing. And he's still trying to be Cam in terms of he got the hair sticking out the hat there. It just looked weird. It's just looked strange. So he's putting out tape. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think Kaepernick's still trying to put out tape too.
Oh God,
Between the
please.
two of them. I mean, but they were talking about this on TV, and it was saying that Cam's like you could put, and some guys you could take a guy like a former starter like a Cam, bring him in as a backup, but Cam is just too attention grabbing for a backup position. You can't put him in the back, behind another quarterback. It's just going to be chaos. And that's not what most of them want. They want somebody like Andy Dalton who's going to come in, assume the role to the best of its ability, and
Yeah,
try to help
Cam
out.
ain't trying to be no backup.
Ain't trying to be nobody back. Well, he already said he thinks he's better than the starter, so then that means he ain't trying
From
to
what
be.
I'm seeing here, they said his little pro day thing was pretty good. He was pretty impressive. Of course,
Um,
throwing the ball against no D backs in sweatpants is different from throwing in a game with full pads. But they said that he was pretty impressive. Still got an arm.
well, he couldn't beat out Mac Jones. And that was about as much what we call processing as it was arm strength and all of the other stuff. He wasn't processing that playbook.
Physically, he could beat out Mac Jones.
That's what I'm saying. But processing wise, Mac Jones was processing the playbook better than he was.
Who told you that?
I watched it.
You watched it, huh?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I watched it.
Okay.
And Mac Jones got the starting job. So apparently Belichick saw it too.
He saw something. I'm not sure that's what it was.
I believe that's what it was.
I think
And I
Mac Jones
remember,
follows the
I
rules, and I think
remember,
Cam Newton was a pain in the ass.
I remember Cam talking about the playbook like it was calculus. I think that's what he called it at one point.
I don't know why the Patriots don't do nothing special.
Well,
Not on offense.
that's what he said. So in any event, Cam's back on the scene, but I don't think he's going anywhere. You mentioned this guy, Benny Elijah Cansey, defensive tackle. He was being interviewed, and I heard him say this, and I said I have to give him credit because it blew everybody's mind when they were like, so why should you be in the NFL? He said, because I'm nice off the field and I'm nasty on the field. They was like,
Okay.
bam, mic drop.
Okay. That's what everybody's looking for.
Mic drop.
I got him going to the Raiders. 7th pick overall.
Nice off the field, nasty on the field. You gotta love it. You gotta love that. All right. We have a retirement, Benny. Patriot linebacker, 3-time Super Bowl champion, Dante Hightower, says, okay, that's enough. I'm going to take my career 32, or excuse me, is that a 5-2? That's a 52 plus $1 million career earnings, and go sit back and figure out what my next move is going to be.
Wait for the Hall of Fame to call.
Yeah. Well, that's what the clock starts 5 years, right, from the retirement there. And what's the name? The twin brother retired too.
Oh, the other, yeah.
I know. Why are we both?
Devin McCourty.
The McCourty twin.
Right.
Yeah, he's trying to get a job already. He's already talking to other reporters talking about, hey, put in a good word for me. So, but nice, man. 52 million. I think you can go pretty far on that, All right, we're almost there, Benny. The schedule has been released for the USFL. The season schedule is about to kick off. And, they had a commercial, and they were talking about real football is finally here or something like that. I'm like, really? Really?
Is that like a little side diss?
You know what I mean? You really trying to pump up against the NFL like that? You
No,
know?
no. They're bumping the XFL.
Oh, you think they're bumping off the XFL? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, all right. Well, we'll have an opportunity to see. Now, I'm going to have to take a look at the different rules and some of the different structures between the two leagues to see if there's anything really different. Um, like the ability to score a 1 point, a 2 point, or a 3 pointer, and how the
Mm-hmm.
kickoffs are structured and those types of things, to see how the game is slightly different. Um, you know, and it's funny. I took a look at um, football because our hashtag is football is life, and we talk about how we love football, all types of football. And I started thinking about all the types of football out there. And we can talk about this a little more in depth, but just in a quick rundown, I've got fan controlled football, arena football, XFL, USL, International League Football, NFL, CFL, fantasy, Madden. I forget the one that's on TV, but it's like the virtual, it's like a game, but it's on television, like it's on the
Yeah, I
station.
heard about it.
That one, flag football, and I couldn't leave this off, bikini football. That's out there too. So if you like football, you can get your football in a lot of different ways,
Yep.
in a lot of different places, around the world, in a lot of different leagues. Of course, we see the NFL is the preeminent league right now, but some of these guys from the XFL, some of these guys from the USL, and from the International League, they're all going to be filtering up into the NFL because the NFL is definitely looking to take it on an international level. Now, Ben, Lamar Jackson. I talked about Lamar and about that run option, looking at it as an added skill set as opposed to a crutch, where you can run the ball because you can't pass it. But if you can run the option and work from the pocket, you're awesome. But Lamar wants to be his own agent, right? And he even pointed out on Twitter, he said, he turned down a 5-year, $250 million deal with $133 million guarantee. He turned that down. But when I kind of looked at the whole thing about agents, I found out that NFL rules prohibit agents from taking more than 3% commission. So I'm like, dude, you beating up all of this for 3%? How about do this? Hire Jalen Hurts' agent, one of the few, if only, black women in the sport. Throw her a bone, let her negotiate for you, let her go ahead and get you a big contract. Everybody else got a big contract, pretty much had an agent. And they're just going to do more than just go in, sign an agreement, take their percentage. They're going to do a lot more than that. But I'm like 3%, really? You make 400 million, and you don't want to give away 3%. I just don't see.
Well, did he say? Did he say he doesn't have an agent because he doesn't want to give up 3%?
No.
That's not why he doesn't have an agent.
Why doesn't he have an agent then?
Because he doesn't want an agent.
Why doesn't he want an agent?
Because he wants to speak for himself and he only trusts his mother.
So you don't think that the 3% has anything to do with it?
Absolutely not.
Well,
what would make you think that it does?
Because money is at the bottom line of most people's decision making. Now you're saying that it's about him trusting only his mother to be his agent. I don't know if he has a full concept of what an agent can really do for him.
Maybe he doesn't.
Maybe he doesn't. But assuming that he really has some clue as to what, since everybody around him for the most part has agents, And I don't think most of them are complaining about being ripped off or you can't trust these guys. And, you
It
know,
happens.
it might happen every once in a while, but, these guys for the most part have agents, and they're getting pretty decent contracts. And these agents also go out and try to get you, other types of deals, sponsorships and all of that. Now, they make 10, 15+% on those, but they go find those for you. You ain't got to go look for that stuff. I mean, some will come to you because, if you play great, but they're out there, trying to find great deals and, great opportunities for you to, pick up additional dollars. And, you want that. It's funny. My nephew Darian is a barber, but he has an agent, you know, and he gets, he cuts for the Roots, he got a job with CBS. They sent cars for him to Philly to drive him in so he could come in and do his thing. His agent found a lot of that stuff for him. You know what I mean? So the agents have value, and I think in many cases it's going to be well beyond the 3%, that they get from representing you. And like I said, you got, Hurts. I thought what Hurts did is awesome, giving the young ladies the opportunity to get in that game, And
The young lady is a beast.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Put that beast to work for Lamar, Then let that lady go to work for you, man. So
believe me, if I knew Lamar and he would listen to me, I would suggest the same thing. But I don't think the 3% has anything to do at all with why he doesn't want to have an agent. I think he just doesn't want to have an agent. He wants to be the king of his own castle. He wants to be the master of his own fate. This is something that he's decided to do, that he's probably talked over with his family and all. And that's the way they're going.
All right. Well, we shall see.
It may change.
Well, I'll listen out to hear, to see if if I hear him say anything more explicit that would be helpful. I didn't know this, Benny. You see a picture of a young Aaron Rodgers there, but according to the NCAA, only 2% of high school athletes are awarded some form of athletic scholarship to compete in college. Did you know it was that low?
I wouldn't have guessed it was that low.
Yeah, my son Chris got scholarship money. I'm like, you're in the 2%, dude. You're in the 2%. But and considering how some of these smaller schools will take a scholarship and split it up amongst like a whole bunch of different kids, I don't know how much of that, 2% is real, where they're really getting anything substantial in terms of a scholarship, because that's kind of what they were doing, I know, at Kutztown. But long story short, I had no clue, that it was anywhere near that small of a number. But I do tell people all the time that his sister, who got all academic scholarships money, got more money than he did, and he was a city, state level, awarded football player, So I just thought that was an interesting stat there. All right, Benny, we've gotten to that point where we say thanks for following. Please leave comments and suggestions. Hashtag is football is life. Website is www.benandbarryonfootball. Any last final words here?
I was thinking about this earlier today, and I knew we were coming up to near the end, and it popped back into my head. Our friend of the show, Mark Russell, I remember around this time last year when we were talking about the draft, he was hoping that the Eagles would take Drake London, who eventually went to the Atlanta Falcons, wide receiver. Drake London, who I was kind of down on, I thought he was rated too high in the wide receiver class last year, but he actually had a decent season last year, and it was with the Atlanta Falcons, and it was with Mariota at quarterback, who didn't play exceptionally well, but his stats were not embarrassing. He did pretty good. So I wanted to let Mark know that him liking that player was not a bad thing. I did come down on the guy quite a bit. He's kind of lucky though that he didn't go to the Eagles. I don't think I don't think he would have fit in with the Eagle offense. But I'll tell you the truth, he's better than Quez Watkins. So what the heck do I know? Good job, Mark.
All righty. All righty. Well, on that note, peace.